This is my personal chaos. It's basically the manifestation of my attention deficit disorder. All of the benefits, like my ambition, my hyperfocus, my creativity, my spontaneity, all of that accumulates here, as does the negative sides. My messiness, obviously, my attention, my inability to keep attention to task and to be distracted and to go off on tangents. And sometimes hyperfocus also moves into that realm of the negative, the downside. Would you call me a messy person?
Not messy, disorganized. That's what I think. But you're not always.
What do you mean?
Like, you have your moments where you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But then you have your other moments where you're like, yeah, everything else matters more. You know? I feel like we're all like that, kind of. But yours is really extreme sometimes.
You know how YouTube videos are typically like, my 5 tips for this, or 10 ways to do this, or how to improve this using my simple 30 steps. I'm going to consider my target audience here, and two things for you. On your must-do list, have something mundane, monotonous, something that doesn't require a significant amount of thought or concentration or focus. You know, making your bed, cleaning your koi pond if you have one of those. I mentioned the must-do list without first telling you what a must-do list is. I did this out of order, but we'll come back to that. Something that you can be successful at, guaranteed. Something that allows you to think about other things while you're doing it. Something that really benefits the way that your brain is wired anyway, because it's something that you can't help. Well, that's pretty, huh? When that task is complete, move on. Don't look around that room for other things that need to be accomplished. Ignore the other items in there. Go back to your must-do list. I made a list for everything that I wanted to talk about in a video on ADD. And I realized in making that list that the most important thing about the list was that it was a list. Executive functioning is one of the greatest challenges of ADHD in general. ADHD, ADD, we'll talk about them universally here. Planning is basically non-existent in my brain. The ADD brain works on 2 parameters, now and not now. My biggest challenge is when whatever's going on now, the thing I'm doing now, is interrupted by something else that also has to be done now. So I created a to-do list, just like lots of people do. You know, I write everything down. These are the things that I need to accomplish. Then I'll come back to that to-do list a week later, and there's things that are still not done because the nows got in the way of the not nows. So I decided I would have a to-do list and a must-do list. Must-do lists are non-negotiables. For example, I'm working, I'm editing, I'm doing one of my many work things, and a thought comes to my mind, and you know, a lot of people call it a distraction. Well, what has just happened is my current now has been replaced by another now. So then that thought on something that I want to do, that thing that is taken over, becomes my current now. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I need this for that. So I jump on Amazon and I do a bunch of research and I read reviews and I go online and do some Google searches to figure out the best way to accomplish this task. You know, the idea that people with ADD and ADHD are non-productive is oftentimes false. We just have a hard time staying on task with what others might consider to be productive because we have diverted from the current present now to a different now. So then I order that thing, and that thing shows up, but that was yesterday's now, and it's today's not now, so it gets moved aside for a later now. Does that make sense now? Here's a bonus tip for you, since we've covered our 2. Because that's what YouTubers do. We provide bonus tips because that's fun. Your must-do list doesn't have to be chock full of like great feats, enormous accomplishments, or even anything extremely productive. Make sure you have some softballs in there. No offense to softball players, I know it's hard to hit a softball. Pepper in some easily attainable tasks, things that you still must do, but it's going to give you a better sense of accomplishment and keep you on track. But I have good news for you. People with ADD and ADHD, we're often goal-oriented people. So this creates a nice little goal, this checklist, this to-do list. These are the notebooks I use. This was, my daughter tore off the bottom half of the cover, but these are the notebooks that I use. I carry them in my pocket all the time. You can use your phone. whatever works best for you. The reason why I don't use the phone is because I have ADD and notifications come up on my phone and other distractions. There's no distractions in here. That's why I recommend a paper and pen. Okay, we're up to 4 tips now. I've got to end this. Your must-do list doesn't have to be just productivity, getting things done, working. Be sure to put things on there that include quality time, your physical health, emotional health, spending time with others, and relationships. Personal relationships is certainly something that's negatively affected or can be negatively affected by ADD and ADHD, because I don't always make our relationship the now. It's the not now. It's something that I'll work on later.
Yeah.
And I get hyper-focused on other subjects. So don't be afraid to put that stuff on your must-do list. I just started this. It's helping. I hope it helps you. Thanks for watching. Bye.